All right, shalom, shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakah. I want to say double honors to the apostles and bishop elders of Great Millstone for teaching us this word in truth and sincerity and for ruling well. Salutations to the elect. Lord willing, we're some of those men and women who believe and fear in the name of Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai. Hey, I'm the brother Gabar YAHAWADAH from GMS Hawaii, coming to you with another lesson. And this lesson was inspired by two videos, but I'm kind of like focus in a little bit on the second one. The first video was Elder Apostle Tahar did a video in regards to Captain Cesariak from the ISUPK, Sa-Netta, and some guy from the Nation of Islam, and they were debating, right? They were having a debate about, the Bible and Islam, and Captain Cesariak, he likes doing these debates. Sa-Netta likes it even more because it's a money grabbing opportunity for him to stay alive. Since coming to this truth, waking up to this truth over a decade ago, I noticed characters like Sa-Netta, they kind of stick around. He's like the Don King of black consciousness, right? He'll go with anybody. Like if it's the Israelites, he's an Israelite that day. If it's Kemet, he's a Kemite that day. If it's Islam, he's Islam that day. Basically he's just trying to stay alive, basically on the YouTube, because that whole black consciousness shit is dead. You don't even hear about that shit no more. And all of these things are nothing more than stumbling blocks against the truth, right? These different religions, and that's kind of what I want to focus on in this lesson, because in that lesson that Apostle Zahar did, he towards the end of it, he spoke about low-level Negroes, right? And how even in Israel, you got groups that are set up for low-level Negroes, right? Whether that's ISUPK, IUIC, GOCC, right? Just to name a few, right? They're for low-level Negroes. Here at Great Millstone, you can't be a low-level Negro and trying to understand this truth and claim to be a part of this thing of ours, right? You have to truly be sincere. You got to be born again, right? In the mind, like the scriptures say, right? All the shit that you learn in the world, you got to toss out, right? You got to count it as dung, like Paul said, right? And so you have these different world religions like Christianity, which that'll be another episode of low-level Negro, right? But this one we're going to focus on Islam, since that was the topic in which they were, so-called debating. And it really wasn't nothing to debate. It was just two simple Negroes going back and forth. Only thing is that Captain Cesariak know the truth, right? But the other guy, he was clearly lost. And as the scripture says, matter of fact, before I start this off, let me get this. If our gospel be hid, all right, if our gospel be hid, this is the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 3. I'm just going to pull it up. You brothers can't see it because I can pull it up. Salakia, 2 Corinthians 4 and 3. All right, this is the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 3. Right? And it says what? It says, but if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost. And matter of fact, I'll start at the top. 2 Corinthians 4 and 1. Wow, nobody turned in today. Hold on. Just bear with me, brothers. I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, 8 people. Hold on. Salakia. All right. Right. Again. So, again, 2 Corinthians 4 and 1. It says, therefore, seeing we have this ministry, as we have received mercy, we faint not, because being in this truth is mercy. And especially as you see these videos and you hear this historical facts about Islam, right? In the Moorish Science Temple, you realize being in this truth, the Lord showed us mercy, because we could be out in utter darkness like the rest of the jakes out there that are without, right? So this is mercy, right? Therefore, seeing we have this ministry, we have received mercy, we faint not, right? Because you got some guys that receive this ministry, right, or who are part of this ministry, received a part of this ministry, and they said, you know what, they threw out the mercy of the Most High, and they wanted to make themselves rich, or they wanted to enrich their lives, or get some type of worldly praise, right? But we understand that us being in this truth is mercy. Again, 2/3 of our people are out of here; they're gone, right? They have fallen to these stumbling blocks. Christianity is a stumbling block. Islam is a stumbling block. Moorish Science Temple is a stumbling block. Certain doctrines of being an Israelite is stumbling block. The Yah Israelites, stumbling blocks. GOCC, stumbling block. IUIC, stumbling block. ISUPK, those are great stumbling blocks, right? It says again, therefore, seeing we have this ministry, as we have received mercy, we faint not, but have renounced the hidden things of dishonesty, right? Not walking in craftiness, nor handling the word of the Most High deceitfully. And you got a lot of people doing that. You got a lot of people who took the Bible and are handling the word deceitfully. You got a lot of people calling themselves Israelite leaders and knowledgeable about the Bible, and they're handling the word deceitfully. Nate comes to mind, ISUPK comes to mind, and something that I just found out after doing a little bit of research is that all that self-reliance, we need to open up schools, we need to have grocery stores, and we need to have black businesses or Latin businesses. All of that shit come from back then, the Moorish Science Temple, the Nation of Islam, these groups. Even going further than that, you had the Back to Africa movement with Marcus Garvey, right? Bunch of niggas dressing up in the same type regalia, because that's what Jake is attracted to, right? Let me get a couple of pictures just to illustrate that, right? Marcus Garvey movement, right? And which I might talk about that another time, right? Matter of fact, shit, we could just bring it up right here, right? The leader of a movement during the turbulent times. So Universal Negro Improvement Association. You had what were Jake really they were following the regalia. You got people dressing up in fucking graduation outfits, pseudo military outfits. Jake was wooed by that. Just like today, you got a lot of Jake, they're wooed by IUIC and their purple garments, and they're in step with one another, right? There's a word for, I can't remember it right now, but that whole unification type deal, like this shit. Jake was excited about that. And this is Jake grasping at straws, trying to figure out who they are. Because one of the curses was that we were going to grope in the noonday. Let me get that real quick. We were going to grope in the noonday, right? Let me see if I can find that. Right? Deuteronomy 28 and 29. It's right on point. It says, says, I'll start at 28 and 28. Deuteronomy 28 and 28. The Lord YAHAWADAH shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart, man. So you went crazy. That's part of the curses. You don't know who you are when you in that mindset. It says the Lord will strike you with madness, blindness, and panic. And it says, and thou shalt grope at the noonday as the blind man gropeth in darkness. Thou shalt not prosper in thy ways. Thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. Right? And that's part of the curses. You had these different people pop up. Marcus Garvey. You had the whole Negro movement, right? I'm trying to figure out. I wanted to get the one in the Wikipedia. Hold on. Right? They kind of give you a more abbreviated understanding. So I guess you just got to go to Marcus Garvey. Like during the 20s and the 30s, you had these different people popping up with these different ideologies, right? And what they were doing was they were trying to galvanize the so-called Negro populace, right? Again, that a whole financially independent from a white dominated society. This is nothing new. It's the same thing that they were pushing in the Nation of Islam. It's the same thing they were pushing in the Moorish Science Temple doctrine back in the day. It's the same thing Nate is trying to push. It's the same thing that ISUPK trying to push, right? Thinking that that's going to be the way to elevate out of your oppression, right? So again, it says what in the NLT 29 verse 29, Deuteronomy 28, 29, you will grope around in a broad daylight like a blind person groping in darkness. And that's what Jake is doing, groping in darkness, trying to grasp a hold of something. And then when the truth is available, they don't want that, right? Jake don't want to be Israelites unless it's advantageous in this world to be an Israelite, right? Jake don't want to follow YAHAWADAH unless it's carnally advantageous to do so. And Jake don't want that. They don't want to be spiritual, right? So it says, you will grope around in a broad daylight like a blind person groping in darkness, but you will not find your way. You will be oppressed and robbed continually, and no one will come to save you. And that's what's happening to Jake. So you had movements like the Marcus Garvey movement. You had the fucking Nation of Islam. You had where's it at? Noble Drew Ali and the Moorish Science Temple. And they were all pushing that same shit while robbing you. These people were robbing you of your nationality, of your culture, of your history, right? Financially, they're robbing you, right? Islam is robbing you. One of the greatest thieves in religion, well, two of them, is Christianity and Islam. They got you Jakes really going to Saudi Arabia trying to be like an Arab. You Jakes will go to Saudi Arabia and you'll speak Arabic better than the fucking Arab man, right? You'll take hold to those different traditions better than those Arabs do, man. Like in Philadelphia, they just got done following Eid, right? Right? Eid was so-called the ending of, hold on. Philadelphia. I'm just gonna show, and that shit was nothing but it was nothing but a fucking riot, right? Yeah, people getting shot, right? You getting all dressed up to follow after some Islamic bullshit, and you think you free. It's a community day. Everybody dressing up the same, right? Everybody following after Ali Akbar, right? But this shit is idolatry. It's false. This is not something this is a stumbling block, right? You had Jake doing that, okay? But like the scripture said, and going back to 2 Corinthians 4:2, but have renounced the hidden things of dishonesty, not walking in craftiness, nor handling the word of the Most High deceitfully, but by manifestation of the truth, commending ourselves to every man's conscience in the sight of the Most High. Let's read this in the NLT. In the NLT, it says, we reject shameful deeds and underhanded methods. Right, and that's what we do. In this truth, we reject that. Islam is a shameful deed and an underhanded method to usurp you, Jake, from the truth. We don't try to trick anyone or distort the word of the Most High. And you got a lot of guys out there doing that. I named a couple. Nate from the IUIC, General Yohana from the ISUPK, right? They're telling you're Israelites, right? They give you that. They're bringing out the 12 tribe sign. But then on the back end, these dudes has made a backdoor deal with Esau to hide the name of YAHAWADAH or to push a vibration that's against YAHAWADAH while maintaining a facade of a so-called man of the Lord. Because these people ain't men of the Lord, right? Okay? They're tricking people. They're distorting the word. It says we don't try to trick anyone or distort the word of the Most High, right? If you can't receive it, we're not forcing you to receive it. We're not putting a knife to your neck saying you better believe this truth. Absolutely not. We're telling you that if you don't believe, YAHAWADAH is going to destroy you. That's it. It says we tell the truth before the Most High, and all who are honest know this. That's what we do. Starting with the apostles and the bishop elders of Great Millstone. That's what we do. Islam don't tell you the truth. Right? Christianity ain't going to tell you the truth. These different variations of Christianity or Islam is not going to tell you the truth. we focusing today on Islam, right? Because these different groups are set up as stumbling blocks to keep you away. And really, the Lord set these up like this. The YAHAWADAH sent Jake strong delusion that they shall believe a lie. This is the book of 2 Thessalonians 2 and 9. This is the book of 2 Thessalonians. Let me make sure I'm still alive. Right. Chapter 2, verse 9. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. We know that's Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, starting off with those elite banking families. Because they're the ones that really bankroll these different organizations via their proxies, different other wealthy people, which we won't get in that. And I brought a lot of information out regarding Islam before, even talking about Elijah Poole, aka Elijah Muhammad, right? Because what Jake believe about that man is straight mythological. It ain't no truth in there at all, right? It's just a bunch of mixed up information given to these people and made up shit, right? Anyway, it says, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish because they receive not the love of the truth that they might be saved, right? So Jake rejected the truth where they might be saved. They got caught up in that deceivableness. It says he will use every kind of evil deception to fool those on their way to destruction, right? Islam is a form of deception. Christianity is a form of deception. The different denominations of Christianity and Islam are forms of deception, whether it be Sunni, whether it be Nation of Islam is just something and it's entirely different, but it's still bullshit because they still talk about that Allah shit, Muhammad shit, right? All that shit is evil deception to fool those on their way to destruction because the Lord don't want all these Jakes. That's why you see Jake in the condition that they're in. That's why they're easily deceived by wicked men, right? Because really the Lord gave them up to that evil deception to fool those on their way to destruction because they refuse to love and accept the truth that would save them. And what's the truth that would save them? That calling on the name of Yahawah, believing on Yahawah in faith and truth and sincerity, following after the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahawah, which get you closer to Yahawah, which opens up that door of righteousness and repentance unto you through Yahawah. So instead, the Lord sent them what? Strong deceivableness again, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish because they receive not the love of the truth that they might be saved. And for this cause, the Most High, Yahawah shall send them strong delusion that they shall believe a lie. Right? Islam is a strong delusion. Come on, man. Now let's see. Islam, I ain't even banging on the door, but the speaker just fell out of nowhere. Right? Because you don't want us to talk against this shit. But we got to. It says so, it's NLT. So the Most High will cause them to be greatly deceived. And they will believe these lies. Like that guy on the matter of fact, I know I had it on history because I was watching it earlier. Apostle Tahar had brought it out. The stupefaction of Babylon. Right here. This is a beautiful lesson. Right here. This guy right here. He just looked dumb. And even this guy, Tazariak, he's through. Right? He really believes that General Yohana is going to save this nigga. Like he going to save him. Like General Yohana is the mouthpiece of the Lord, according to this guy. That's a delusion. And this dude with no beard on his face, shaved his beard off his face. He has this crazy ass FOI hat on his head, looking like a ditz, a bow tie. Right? That shit is dead. Right? That whole Nation of Islam shit died with Malcolm X because he was the one that really galvanized the people to get them to be a part of that shit. And really, this is you covering yourself with the spirit that's not of the spirit of the Most High. This dude, Captain Tazariak, this thing is entertainment for him. He got the UFC belt on. He never fought a UFC match in his life, but he used some of that Israelite money that he got from selling them oils and shit, got him a UFC belt because he believes he's the champion of debating. Then you got this dude right here, Sinetta, so-called, he's no elder, right? He had to put that there because that black consciousness shit died. So now he's a so-called elder now, right? Well, he's just trying to make money off this shit. And then you got this nigga right here, Khalil Shabazz, free at last, lost tribe of Shabazz, free at last. Ain't no fucking tribe of Shabazz. Ain't no nation of Islam. Who's the big? Who we gonna get into it? We're gonna get into it because Islam came out of a tumultuous time where Jake, who started that Catholic Church, was trying to get a hold of Jerusalem, right? Then you had these warring factions amongst the Arabs, believing what they believe in, and then they came up with this great plan called Islam, which backfired. And now you have it. You have this shit. And then when you read how the Arabians beat the Ethiopians back, because they were warring with them Hamites, right? And when you read about you realize that the Lord wanted this shit to happen. He wanted Islam to become a world religion, to deceive a gang of Israelites, 2/3 of Jake, just like Christianity. And then you got these different offshoots, people who just niggas. When you hear some of this theology, it sounds like these niggas is on drugs, right? They were but they wasn't on drugs. They had demons on them, and they were high level witches and warlocks that were involved in creating this shit. So this is a strong delusion. You look at all three of these men, all three of these niggas are highly delusional. They're highly influenced by strong delusions that they should believe a lie because the Lord don't want all Jake, and Jake don't like to hear that. Jake don't want to hear the truth, but it's the truth. Okay. See if anything on the comment board. Y'all brothers can hear it. Can y'all hear? Jake said our dumbass people love it here. They do. They really do. Well, America is a strong delusion, right? Believing in the strength of America and it saving you, that's a strong delusion. Like that nigga, a Big Brother Almighty. I am a Greek, and I don't play that. I'm from Motown, Detroit. So you can want to see your monkey ass back to Africa, right? Second Esdras 8:62. These things have I not showed unto all men, but unto thee and few like thee. Right? The truth is not shown to all men. Right? It's not shown to all men. Okay? Like the brother said right here, the end has come. The Lord don't want all our people. Absolutely not. And that's something that Jake can't get through their greasy heads. That's something that really messes Jake up, is the fact that everybody can't get it. Right? Romans 11:7. Romans 11:7. What then Israel have not attained, that which he seeketh for, but the election have obtained it, and the rest were blinded. It's only for the elect. Right? And we praying and hoping like hell all day, every day, doing what we supposed to do, being obedient unto YAHAWADAH, praying we endure to the end, because then we're gonna know we use the elect. We do this work until it's over, till it's done. Just like YAHAWADAH did. He completed his mission, and what he say when he's on the cross? It is done. It is done, Lord. It is done, Abba. I did it. I did what you told me to do. And then he asked the Lord, Yahweh, he asked the Lord to what? To give him his position that he had before all of this began. Before he had to go through all of this, and the Lord, he granted that. He gave it to him. Did not the Lord say, this is my son whom I am well pleased with, man? He was always pleased with YAHAWADAH. The Most High Yahweh was always pleased with YAHAWADAH. Even when YAHAWADAH felt the spirit come off him while he was on that cross, right? He was like, why have you, he thought the Lord forsook him. He's like, nah, I ain't forsake you, man. I'm with you. You just got to go through this, right? So again, our people can't receive that. So you had these different movements, particularly here in Babylon the Great, pop up. Like Islam had already had a foothold on Jake in West Africa, North Africa, some of the Jake that was scattered in East Africa, right? Islam took a hold on Jake through violence, just like Christianity. Christianity, as you know it today, was given to you but through violence. what they call Christianity during the time of the Antioch and the apostles, during the time of the apostles in Antioch, was just us following the Messiah. And none of the disciples who became apostles or any of the true believers of Yahawah pushed this truth via violence. Scripture says if they can't get it, they shake the dust off and keep it pushing. The Lord didn't say strike people down and tie them up, abuse them, torture them, and make them get down with this. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Okay. Let me see something. Hey, just bear with me real quick, brothers. I gotta go run and do something real quick. Don't hang. Bear with me, brothers. I gotta run and do something real quick. Salakia about that, brothers. Salakia. I gotta go do something real quick. So yeah. So again, all of these different religions and shit, they're nothing more than stumbling blocks, and it's idolatry, right? Idolatry is the reason for the cause root of all of these things that are happening, right? Let me see if I can find that. Is the cause. What is it? Just bear with me, brother. I'm trying to find something. For idol worship is the cause of power. Yeah, idol worship. Wisdom of Solomon 14 and 27. Wisdom of Solomon 14 and 27. So, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, verse 27. Okay. Wisdom of Solomon 14 and 27 says what? For the worshiping of idols not to be named is the beginning, the cause, and the end of all evil. Right? And this is why we're in the position that we're in. And so you see all these jakes that's into these different religions. What is that? Into these different religions, right? Or they idol worshiping a man walking the earth right now, right? Or they into that Kemet shit. All of this is the cause, is the reason, is what the cause. It says what is for the worshiping of idols not to be named is the beginning, the cause, and the end of all evil. And we know that the end of all evil is death. All the wickedness that Jake is into, that shit stems from idolatry. Every last bit of it, right? This is the root cause. And you got some Jake that's wholly into idolatry. They ain't getting out of that shit. Like Elder Apostle Tahar said in this video, you got niggas that's into Islam. That's a horrible demon. Look at this dude's eyes. You can tell that there's no life in this man. He's done. This dude, he's a walking corpse, right? And then they want to say the white man created the Bible to manipulate the black man. The white man created the Bible to lie to you. Absolutely not. That ain't in the scriptures. Absolutely not. And so some of the information that Apostle Gabar brought out in his video, low-level Negroes who quote Quran to debunk the Bible has no idea the Quran reverence the Bible. Exactly. Because the Bible don't reverence no other book. Right? None shall want her mate. Right? None. Right? None shall want her mate. Right? None shall want her mate. Isaiah 34:16. Seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read. What's the book of YAHAWADAH? The Bible, the Holy Bible. And read. No, so if you seek out of the book of the Lord and you read with understanding, it ain't gonna fail you. None of these shall fail. None shall want her mate. For my mouth it have commanded, and his spirit it have gathered them. Right? The spirit of truth of YAHAWADAH gathered us together. Christianity is a lie. They use the Bible as a tool to deceive people and to keep them in that deception. Right? He got the same dead look this nigga right here got from the Nation of Islam. He got the same dead look. This guy right here, man, just through. You ain't gonna convert none of these guys. It may be a little easier than somebody that's in Islam or any facet of Islam, right? Because niggas really believe that Islam helping them succeed in this world. And it's all Satan worship. Islam, Christianity, straight up Satan worship, Baal worshiping, what these Hollywood celebrities do, these politicians, high-level politicians do. See, niggas work, them people worship money. Money is an idol in this world, right? And these people, they worship that shit. So they're into all of that. So again, going back into Apostle Gabar's video, right? Okay, entitled "Low-Level Negro Who Quotes Quran to Debunk the Bible Has No Idea the Quran Reverence the Bible." Exactly, it does. And right here, Elder Apostle Gabar is bringing out right here this information. He says the Quran frequently addresses the children of Israel. Why don't it address the children of Ishmael? But it frequently addresses the children of Israel, acknowledging their history. And we know that our history can be found in what? The Bible, the scriptures. Their role as recipients of divine guidance. No other nation was given the role of divine guidance or given the role to receive divine guidance from YAHAWADAH. No other nation. In the blessings they received, including the gift of what? Prophethood and scriptures, because all the prophets came out of Israel. Ain't no prophets come out of Ishmael. Not one. Not even the prophet, so-called prophet Muhammad. That nigga, he wasn't no prophet. He was a profiteer. He was an illiterate, homosexual, vanity-driven monster that's going to be dealt with in the kingdom of heaven. Straight up and down. Just like Vocab Malone's going to be dealt with in the kingdom of heaven. Severely. For pushing that bullshit. All right? You're going to have to pay for that. It says right here, Surah 45:16, and indeed we gave the children of Israel scriptures. Let's see if I can get it. Surah 45:16. Right? Surah 45:16 says what? Indeed, we gave the children of Israel scripture, wisdom, prophethood, granted them good, lawful provisions, and favored them above others. Right? What? And like Elder Apostle Gabar brought out in his video, Islam is nothing but a cheap commentary on a Bible. That's all it is. That's why they always talking about the Bible and reverencing. Even in the Nation of Islam, that nigga Farrakhan always quoting the Bible. That nigga, where he get that from? Elijah Muhammad. They did it. Farad Muhammad, they did it. Because they know that this Bible is the book. It's the book, but they try to speak against it. Or they try to manipulate it to make it work in their favor. And for a time it did. Just like the whole Marcus Garvey movement. Negro movement. Let me see if I can talk about that real quick. Marcus Mosiah Garvey Jr. was a Jamaican. He was a wild a Benjamite. He was the founder and first president of General of the Universal Negro Improvement Association. What's the UNLA Communities League, UNIA ACL, commonly known as the UNIA, through which he declared himself provisional president of Africa. So he just gave himself these lofty terms because that's what they do. They love these lofty terms. Remember, this is going to be commonplace in all of these stumbling block organizations, right? Garvey was ideologically a black nationalist. That's another thing. And that's what they try to lump us in, us believers in the YAHAWADAH. They try to lump us in with black nationalism. And we ain't about black. Black don't exist, right? And we're not about black nationalism. It's about Israelite nationalism, because that's what Yahushua was, a nationalist. He came for his people. But this ain't about being black. But this is a common theme. Black nationalism and Pan-Africanism. You got that nigga, so-called Dr. Umar Johnson, which that's not his real name. He's another guy. He follows Marcus Garvey's ideology. And this is a Umar Rashad Ibn Abdullah Johnson. This is a cult of personality, because his real name is Jermaine Shoemake. Jermaine Shoemake, better known as Dr. Umar, is an American black activist, psychologist, and motivational speaker. Johnson has referred to himself as the Prince of Pan-Africanism, and we're talking about if he's the prince, he calls Marcus Garvey the king of Pan-Africanism, right? So going back to Marcus Garvey, his ideas came to be known as Garveyism, right? Garvey, I'm not going to go through his whole thing, believing that black people indeed, let me read right here. It says, hold on, I'm going to start at, emphasizing unity between Africans and African diaspora, right? Which this is all a lie, because we not Africans, right? And them Hamites, they wouldn't disperse. He campaigned for an end to European colonial rule in Africa and advocated the political unification of the continent. He envisioned as unified Africa as a one-party state governed by himself. So this nigga wanted to rule a whole continent. He wanted to rule Africa. And he started by galvanizing you jakes here in America, right? Notice that's going to be another common theme. They got to galvanize who's ever here in America, right? They got to, because they want to try to deceive the Israelites, right? Governed by himself, that would enact laws to ensure black racial purity. Although he never visited the continent, he was committed to the Back to Africa movement, arguing that part of the diaspora should migrate there. Garvey's ideas became increasingly popular, and the UNIA grew in membership. His black separatist views and his relationship with white racists like the Ku Klux Klan. Another common theme you're going to find out in this lesson is that all these so-called black organizations that they created, whether that be the Nation of Islam, Morsi and Simple, UNIA, shit, even IUIC, they tapped in with Esau. They, and like Apostle Zahar brought out in this video, he said it. He said a lot of these black organizations, man, they were propped up by Esau. They've been paid off. However, it's been paid out, they've been paid off. Absolutely, absolutely. 12 Tribes of Israel. The Black Star Line was a shipping company founded by Marcus Garvey in 1918 and later adopted by Ghana in 1957. The Black Star Line was a symbol of Garvey's vision of black economic power and self-worth. And that's another common thing. They want to push that shit. Black economic worth. You already tried it. It failed. Somebody put the precept up there, Micah 2 and 10. Baba Gashah. The Black Star Line, the shipping line, was created to facilitate the transportation of goods and eventually African Americans, which African Americans are nothing more than Israelites from the tribes of Judah, Benjamin, Levi throughout. And he tried to put us back in Africa, right? throughout the African global economy. And all of this is set up to keep you away from the truth. All of this is set up to keep you away from the truth. Exactly. Okay, so going back, so let me get some information. Remember, I told you, the white man always sponsor these groups to keep Jake asleep, right? So we're focusing on Islam right now. So let's do that right now. We did Marcus Garvey in the Black Line movement, Black Star Line, and I remember hearing that Black Star Line shit from a group called the Black Star, Mos Def, Talib Kweli, Black Star, those guys. You know, we take the Black Star Line right on home. We ain't taking no Black Star Line home, bro. We getting out of here on chariots of Israel, of YAHAWADAH, bro. Right? So H.L. Hunt. H.L. Hunt is the forefather of the Hunt family who owns the Kansas City Chiefs today. He was a racist, right? H.L. Hunt, Haroldson Lafayette Hunt Jr. was an American oil tycoon, right? He was born in 1889, died in 1974. By trading poker winnings for oil rights, according to legend, but more likely through money he gained from successful speculation in oil leases. He ultimately secured title to much of East Texas oil field and of the world's largest oil deposit. He acquired rights to the East Texas oil lands initially through a $30,000 land purchase from oil speculator Dad Joyner, right? So let me skip down. I want to just skip down. His connection to white supremacy. Hunt supported the Dixiecrats, right? Viewing the rest of the Democratic Party as an instrument of socialism and communism in this country. Multiple sources, including American civil rights icon Malcolm X, implicate Hunt as a lifelong racist who provided major financial assistance to several far-right organizations, such as the Minutemen and the John Birch Society. Hunt considered African Americans a political threat and made this clear in his radio interviews and broadcasts. One of Hunt's chief allies, Alan Zoll, said since 1936, Hunt advocated deporting all African Americans to Africa. That's another common theme. They want to send you back to that dirt spot called Africa. For this reason, Hunt supplied Nation of Islam leader Elijah Muhammad continuous financial support due to the latter's belief in racial separation for whites. You see? So here it is. You had a billionaire, and he never went to jail. His children today own one of America's top NFL teams, right? The Kansas City Chiefs. Lamar Hunt Jr. is an American businessman. Hunt is the president and owner of the Kansas City Mavericks professional hockey team. He is the son of Lamar Hunt, grandson of oil tycoon H.L. Hunt, and part of the founding operating family of the Kansas City Chiefs NFL team. And you think these people still don't hate niggas? You think these people still don't hate you so-called Black, Latino, Native Americans? Absolutely they do. Lamar Hunt Sr., right? They come from a family that propped up racist ideologies themselves. And they still practice it to this day. To this day. But we're going to focus on Elijah Poole because he was set up by H.L. Hunt. And I believe this is the real reason Malcolm X got put to death. It ain't had nothing to do with this nigga, Elijah Muhammad, fucking little young girls and getting them knocked up. It had nothing to do with that. They didn't want Malcolm X exposing the truth about where the money's going and where it's coming from. He provided financial assistance to several far-right organizations, including the Nation of Islam. So when you want to know where the money came from, it came from H.L. Hunt and other people like him. And while they were talking that the white man's a devil shit, they were collecting them checks, just like the nigga Nate. The nigga Nate doing the same thing. Oh, the white man's a devil, right? Which he is, but he's doing that to get money. We got the Booster Club. We're sending people to Kenya. We're going to Africa. We're going to fucking Papua New Guinea. Nigga went all the way out to Papua New fucking Guinea. He passed Hawaii and went to Papua New fucking Guinea. Right? So let me focus on this guy, Elijah Poole. He's a fucking liar, right? He's a fool, right? He was a fool and he's a false prophet. So the Nation of Islam, right? Well, we're gonna focus on Elijah Poole first. Elijah Muhammad, born Elijah Robert Poole, right? Because he claims he was some type of messenger of God, right? Who they call Allah, and Allah in the Hebrew just means power, right? Ain't no God named Allah. Allah is a moon god. It's an idol. Elijah Muhammad, born Elijah Robert Poole, was an American religious leader, black separatist. Here go that word again, black separatist, and self-proclaimed messenger of Allah, who led the Nation of Islam, or the NOI, from 1933 until his death in 1975. Elijah Muhammad was also the teacher and mentor to Malcolm X, Louis Farrakhan, Muhammad Ali. All these niggas were simple-minded niggas who died in their simplicity and in their sins. And his son, Warith Deen Muhammad, right? I'm gonna skip down. In 1930s, Muhammad formally established the Nation of Islam as a religious movement that originated under the leadership and teachings of Wallace Farad Muhammad, which this dude was some Edomite Turkish liar, demon, monster, right? He pushing some black pride shit, and he himself wasn't a so-called black man, right? And you know who could play this nigga? Cat Williams can play this nigga, man. He looked just like him. He looked just like this nigga, right? So let's go back, because we're gonna get back to Farad Muhammad in a second. So it says, and that promoted black power, pride, and economic empowerment. Right? Again, with that black shit, empower, pride, and empowerment. All of these things are common things in these organizations that were set up to keep you asleep. And racial separation. Elijah Muhammad taught that Master Farad Muhammad is the son of man of the Bible. Wait a minute, I thought you were Muslims. Now you saying that this dude is Yahawadah? You out of pocket. But remember, these false prophets were popping up. It ain't just false prophets that are amongst the Israelites who are woke, who have some understanding that they're Israelites. It's also these other world religions, right? This is St. Matthew chapter 24, verse 22. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. That's why time is moving fast for the elect's sake. Then if any man shall say unto you, lo, here is Hamashiach, or here is an anointed, or here is the Messiah, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false anointeds, right? False messiahs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, in so much that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. But it's not possible. What's a great sign and wonder? Galvanizing people. This dude, Elijah Muhammad, in the 30s, all the way up into the mid 70s, he had millions of so-called African Americans following him. And even Latino Americans follow him, even to this day. Noble Drew Ali did the same thing. Marcus Garvey did the same thing. Those are all false prophets. These are all false prophets, right? That's what they are, right? He said, Elijah Muhammad taught that Master Farad Muhammad was the son of man of the Bible. And after Farad's disappearance in 1934, Muhammad assumed control over Farad's former ministry, formally changing its name to the Nation of Islam. Okay. So I also wanted to bring this out. Right here. This is another thing that's common amongst these organizations, right? His views on race and his call for blacks having an independent nation for themselves made him a controversial figure both within and outside the Nation of Islam. He has been variously described as a black nationalist and black supremacist. You see that? All of these common things pop up. And a religious leader who fought for the rights of African Americans, which he didn't fight for anybody's rights, right? He was set up by the so-called white man to keep you Jakes asleep, right? Because when Jake would see shit like this, let's see, 60s. Let's see the 60s. right? During the time, even that nigga Malcolm X, he treated this nigga as a deity. When Jake would see this shit, the uniformity, right? Y'all remember that movie Malcolm X or X from Spike Lee? What did that one dude say when he saw all them Jakes following Malcolm X in the movie? When they saw, he said, I don't know what that is. I ain't never seen no nigga, I mean colored person, talk to no white man like that. And then the white man said in that movie, that's too much power for the black man to have. And then they got famous people to follow them too, to what? To bring other people in. You saw Muhammad Ali, they gave this nigga a prominent seat within the FOI. Why? Because he was a champion boxer. And he changed his name to Muhammad X. I mean to Cassius X. Then he changed his name to Muhammad Ali. Right? Same nigga sitting here smiling and come on, man. Smiling and laughing with the president, right? These niggas are all tapped in and had you niggas following them thinking that this is the way. And it wasn't. It's like that the show Mandalorian. This is the way. This is not the way. Look, niggas saw this and they got happy. Right? You saw shit like this at the end of the Malcolm X movie, and you niggas got happy. The black woman seemed like she was in order, following that Islam shit. This is what Jake get excited about. You see that this, oh man, they got all these people, and all these people equal what? Money. So not only was Elijah Poole, aka Elijah Muhammad, getting money from H.L. Hunt, he didn't tell his believers that shit while he was kicking that white man's the devil shit. He was not kicking none of that. He didn't tell y'all, he didn't tell Muhammad that. Muhammad Ali that shit. Right? He didn't tell that. And look, this nigga start talking and yelling and screaming. And this nigga was a charismatic individual. Look at this. That nigga Elijah Poole looked dead as shit back there, yo. A monster. Right? But people followed this organization because they thought it was the way, and it wasn't. You get excited about shit like that. Let's go back to this nigga. This nigga, he's a fucking fraud, man. Just like Muhammad, the fucking so-called real Muhammad, he was a fucking fraud, man. Muhammad, I always like to say, Allah don't exist and Muhammad was a fraud. Straight up. Any nigga named Muhammad, you can't trust him. Straight up. Elijah Muhammad taught that master fraud Muhammad is the son of man of the Bible. And after Fraud's disappearance, Muhammad assumed control over Fraud's former ministry, formally changing the name to the Nation of Islam. He's okay right here. It says he has been variously described as a black nationalist and a black supremacist and a religious leader who fought for rights of African Americans. Right? Yeah, some shit right here. Conversion and rise in leadership. While he was in Detroit, all these niggas come out of Detroit. Poole began taking part in various black nationalist movements within the city. In August 1931, at the urging of his wife, Elijah Poole attended the speech on Islam and black empowerment by Wallace Fraud Muhammad. Afterward, Poole said he approached Fraud and asked him, was he the Mahdi or Redeemer? And he wasn't no redeemer. The Mahdi is a figure in Islamic eschatology who is believed to appear at the end of times to rid the world of evil and injustice. He is said to be a descendant of Muhammad and will appear shortly before Jesus. Get the fuck out of here. This is all cat. Fraud responded that he was. So what you think this nigga was? What do you think he want to say? No? He found a sucker. Oh, I got a sucker right here. This nigga really believed me. And all I had to do was have a fucking smooth hair, a nice suit, like Apostle Hart said. All niggas got to do is put on that nice suit, comb their fucking hair, and you niggas believe it, man. Hold the book open like he reading something, and you believe it. Right? And this nigga said, yeah. Right? What you thought he gonna say? No? He found a sucker. But that his time has not yet come. Fraud taught that black people as original Asiatics had a rich cultural history which was stolen from them in their enslavement. Well, we did. We do have a rich cultural history. We ain't black, right? Asiatic black man. No, we're Israelites, man. That was stolen from us, not this Islam shit. Ain't no lost tribe of Shabazz free at last, bro. Who did Shabazz come from? Fraud stated that the African Americans could regain their freedoms through what? Self-independence, cultivation of their own culture and civilization. So basically, out of your own pocket. Poole, having a strong conscience for both race and class issues as a result of his struggles in the South, quickly fell in step with Fraud's ideology. Poole soon became an adherent follower of Fraud and joined his movement, as did his wife and several of his brothers. And then, you can read the rest on this fool, Nation of Islam. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. Right? It's all bullshit. Then you go to Nation of Islam, they talk about some nigga named Yaqub, the big-head scientist. It says the nation teaches that there has been a succession of mortal gods. See, when you start to read their ideology, you start to read how fucking bizarro it is, man. And they'll try to say that about us, and we telling the truth. But because Esau, he muddied the waters, which the Lord made him do, right? He murkied the waters because he had to spread this BS because they didn't want the truth to be out there like that. Why do you think they haven't really addressed the truth right now? This thing is worldwide, right? Any other time Esau would address it, but they don't want to put focus on the truth, right? Until they start to attack it. So what they do, they give you all this other bullshit. The nation teaches that there has been a succession of mortal gods, each a black man named Allah, of whom Fard Muhammad is the most recent. And the nigga wasn't even a so-called black man. It claims that the first Allah created the earliest humans, the Arabic-speaking dark-skinned tribe of Shabazz. Tribe of Shabazz was, according to the Nation of Islam, an ancient black nation that migrated into Central Africa, led by a leader named Shabazz. The concept is found primarily in the writings of Wallace Farad Muhammad. It's bullshit. Whose members possess inner divinity and from whom all people of color descend. It maintains that the scientist named Yaqub, this nigga, some big titty head nigga, some big titty forehead nigga with a fucked up hairline, created the white race. Just out of order. The whites lacked inner divinity and were intrinsically violent. They overthrew the tribe of Shabazz and achieved global dominance. And this is the reason why they haven't destroyed this organization now, because they know that this is some bullshit. And if you following this shit, you are truly done. They already know that ain't no coming back from this unless the Lord really working with you. You know what I'm saying? Setting itself against the white-dominated society of the United States, the NOI campaigns for the creation of an independent African-American nation state and calls for African Americans to be economically self-sufficient, separatists. So they basically want you to build a kingdom within this kingdom. And I heard General Yohana say that too some years ago. I can't find the video because I think they deleted it. But General Yohana was like, we got to build a kingdom within a kingdom. Where is that in the scriptures? Nowhere to be found, man. Absolutely nowhere to be found. And again, this shit is for low-level Negro. If you believe that shit, you got to be a low-level Negro. Absolutely. Only a low-level Negro will believe some bullshit like that. Some nigga named, some big titty head nigga named Yaqub, the scientist, created white people to go against them. Right? What? That don't even make no sense, man. Some nigga like this, a nigga that look like this. If ever you see a nigga like this walking down the street, you're going to get away from him. And I think they said this nigga head looked like this because his brain was too big. So he basically a Marvel character. There's a Marvel there's a Marvel character called what they call this nigga, the leader, right? This guy, the leader, right? This dude, this big head scientist dude. It's no different than Yaqub, the big head scientist, the leader. Look, this nigga right here, his head so big because his brain swelled up from so much wisdom and intelligence. So he had this elongated, fucked up head, looking like Yaqub, the big head scientist. It's like, yeah, it's fucking simple. You got to be a low-level Negro to believe something like that. Only a low-level Negro, and you can tell this nigga he got a low-level Negro look, bro. Right? He might have been selling dope, doing some wicked shit, other wicked shit, and then he found FOI, and now this nigga, he's trying to live the days of futures past, right? with that bullshit, right? So we covered that. And then on top of that, the Nation of Islam grew out of something called the Moorish Science Temple, right? Which was set up by this fool, Drew Ali, so-called noble Drew Ali, was born Timothy or Thomas Drew, was an American religious leader who in the early 20th century founded a series of organizations that ultimately placed under the umbrella title the Moorish Science Temple, right? Including the Canaanite Temple, the Moorish Divine and National Movement. So these niggas had a bunch of different movements that didn't quite work. So he started doing other shit. And this is the same time Marcus Garvey was alive doing this shit. The Moorish Divine and National Movement, the Moorish Temple of Science, and then the Moorish Science Temple of America onwards, considered a Surah and now Surah, whatever, prophet by his followers. They all these false prophets, bro. This nigga ain't prophesied nothing. He tried to enrich himself. When the shit didn't work, he was out. And then this nigga was really he was a fucking a warlock, man. That's all he was, a warlock, right? It says it is traditionally held that Drew Ali founded the first official state registered Islamic organization in the U.S. history and was the first American-born Islamic religious leader. Although the Moorish Science Temple in America has largely declined, Drew Ali's legacy is significant because it influenced the founding and the ideology of the Nation of Islam. So this shit came out of the Moorish Science Temple, right? Drew Ali reported during his travels in Egypt, he met a high priest of Egyptian magic. Told you this nigga was a warlock. In one version of Drew Ali's biography, the leader saw him as a reincarnation of the founder. In others, he claimed that the priest considered him the reincarnation of Jesus. Come on, bro. The Buddha, Muhammad, and other religious prophets. And that's why the scripture says this in the book of Proverbs. Proverbs 14 and 15. The simple believeth every word, but the prudent man looketh well to his going. There are a lot of simple Jakes out there. There's a lot of simple Negroes, a lot of simple Hispanics, a lot of simple Native Americans out there, bro. It's a lot when you go into this stuff, right? And all these dudes report themselves to be some type of reincarnation of the Messiah, Yahawah, right? Or some other so-called religious leader. According to the biography, the high priest trained Ali in mysticism. So this nigga was a warlock and gave him a lost section of the Quran, which they call the red letter 7 circle Quran, right? Niggas always try to make themselves something that they not. And again, when you see niggas dressed up in unity, niggas start following this shit. I got a video I want to play real quick. I got a video right here. I want to play this, just a little bit of this video right here. You see the pattern? You see the pattern? It's all bullshit, man. Hold on, Salaki, brothers. Present, share. So let me play this real quick.
The Moorish Science Temple teachings came by way of the Shriners or Masonic Lodge of which Noble Drew Ali was enrolled. Noble Drew Ali used their symbolisms, the star and crescent, their handshake of unity as the Masonic grip, the red fez of Masonry, and the term adept for his followers. Noble Drew Ali was a Mason as well as a Shriner. Because Noble Drew Ali was a Mason of such a high degree, it was only natural that the symbols of Masonry were so heavily
Masonry is witchcraft. Everybody know that.
Incorporated into his teachings. As mentioned earlier, he accepted many customs and symbols from the Masonic Lodge, a pseudo
It was the Black Aleister Crowley, bro.
religious fraternity. Noble Drew Ali also borrowed the name Noble and other customs and symbols from the Shriners, which is a secret fraternity that was designed for the Amorite cave dwellers in mockery.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go any further than that. I just wanted the first bit of this. Yeah, this dude right here, this dude's a piece of shit. Yeah, this guy's a piece of shit. All these dudes are a piece of shit, bro. When you start seeing it. So let me and then the final information I want to bring out. The final information I want to bring out is And then you see this shit right here? These are the scoffers. Joseph Greenback. Yeshua is getting his anally penetrated by Muhammad in hell. This is wickedness, man. Come on, man. Somebody get this man up out of here, bro. I don't know if we got any moderators in here. Let me see. Get him out of here. Put his ass on timeout. Yeah, he's out of there. You got some weird people out here, man. When you start talking the truth, here come the scoffers with the bullshit, bro. Right? Till you get destroyed. So the last bit of information I wanted to get was from this book from Babylon and Timbuktu. Right? Y'all familiar with this book? I'm sure that all brothers in the faith familiar with this. This book got a lot of information in it. Spit out the bones. But from Babylon and Timbuktu by Rudolph Windsor. And I'm gonna scroll down to about 44, page 44. Yeah. So let's go to this real quick. Let's read some of this from this book right here. It says, at the time of the birth of Muhammad, what were the international events or conditions operating? The answer to this question is, let me hold on. Right, I just want to make it bigger. It says, at the time of the birth of Muhammad, what were the international events or conditions operating? The answer to this question is necessary for the comprehension of the rapid emergence of Muhammadan Empire. The Roman Empire at the birth of Muhammad was divided into two parts: Western Empire with the capital in Rome, and a Byzantine Empire with the capital in Constantinople. The Roman Empire in the West collapsed in 476. After many barbarian raids and incursions, the Germanic tribes crossed the borders, penetrated into all the territories of Western Empire, including Africa. Let me skip down. I want to read all this. When Muhammad was born, many Arabs were still worshiping the sun, stars, spirits, and idols. The Arabs possessed 360 idols, one for each day of the year. Muhammad was born in 570, 4 years after the death of Emperor Justinian. He was descended from the tribe of Quraysh and the family of Hashim. His mentality was prodigious. In his youth, he was never taught to read or write. So this dude was illiterate, but people are focusing on a book that this dude didn't even write. This dude was illiterate. He couldn't even read. Muhammad was an extraordinary handsome man. Remember, we said that he was what? He was a man of vanity and eloquent and motivating men with the power of words. So the nigga was charismatic. Remember, you got to be charismatic. You got to look like something for the people to accept you. In the early years, Muhammad's life, he passed his time as a shepherd. We must remember that many successful men have arisen from insignificant and humble conditions. Watching the sun by day and the stars by night left opportunity for Muhammad to contemplate in solitude, reflect on the events and profoundness of this world. After Muhammad became a camel driver, he traveled to remote and intriguing lands. He led his caravans to Persia, Syria, Egypt, transacting business with merchants, because you don't have to know how to read and write to do business. You just got to know how to talk to people. Merchants of every kind. On his business trip, he met Jews, Christians, and members of other sects. He interrogated them concerning the tenets of their religion. He frequented the environments of the Jews and their rabbis, mostly because they were merchants and an omnipresent element ethnic group. So Israelites, we were scattered around the world. We were everywhere. These weren't white Jews that he was dealing with. These were Israelites, so-called Negros, West Indians, and Haitians that you call today. Because he could not read or write, his ears were attentive and keen to everything that the Jews related to him. Muhammad learned and extracted much from the Jewish religion and compounded it with his new religion, Islam. Right? It says, when Khadijah, a rich widow, heard of the good reputation of Muhammad, she employed him in her business. He went on a business deal, transacting it with good results, and returned home at an advantageous time. Muhammad was amazed at the beauty of Khadijah. He had not seen her before because he had received his position by proxy. Khadijah was immensely gratified by the way he conducted her affairs and the manner in which he presented himself to her. Muhammad was not a tall man, but had such a broad shoulders that he looked like a giant. Muhammad had curly black woolly hair that gave him an excellent appearance. Finally, Muhammad married Khadijah, the rich woman of the city of Mecca, when she was about 40 years old. The first stage of Islamic revolution. According to Alvin L. Bertrand, most mass movements pass through 4 stages or phases to complete the whole cycle. By Eric Hoffer, the long horseman proselytes 3 stages: the vocal stage, the fanatical stage, and the stage of practical men of action. Muhammad spent many days in the hills outside of Mecca. He was immersed deeply in the deplored conditions of his people, and he wanted to lead them away from moral turpitude and idolatry. Well, Islam is still idolatry, so it didn't matter. Let me skip down. I don't want to read all this. I don't want to read all this. But this is good. This is a good read right here. I just want to read where he right here. This is why I want to go right here. Verse 40. Page 48. The Prophet Muhammad adopted many principles and laws from the Jewish religion. This is the reason why you hear so much about the Israelites in the Quran, right? And even our ways. It says, first of all, the basic idea of monotheism, which is the belief in one God. The Jewish confession of the unity of the Most High is Shema Israel, Yahweh, Elohim, Yah. Well, I'm going to read it as it's right here. Shema Israel, Adonai, Elohim, Adonai, Echad, which is really Shema, Yasha Allah, Yahweh, Elohim, Yahweh, Echad, which is, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And the Muhammadan slogan is as follows: La illallah illa Allah Muhammad Rasul Allah. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is the prophet Allah of Allah. You see, this nigga, he copied our style, try to copy our style, man, word for word, man, sort of conduct. Because Muhammad was not no fucking prophet, and Allah don't exist. Muhammad adopted also the main deities of the Jewish calendar. I'm sorry. Muhammad adopted also the main details of the Jewish calendar: the Day of Atonement, the Sabbath, much of the Bible, and narratives from the Midrash, and many points of the ritual law. Incidentally, the Jews prayed 3 times a day facing the city of Jerusalem, and the Muslims, true believers, pray 5 times a day facing the city of Mecca. Trying his best, Muhammad sought to convert the Jews to his new religion, but to no avail. The Jews were adamant and resistant to change. The high esteem which the prophet held for the Jews was transformed into enmity, and instead of allies, he looked upon them as competitors. Muhammad needed the confirmation of the influential Jews to validate his mission, as all upstarts need the backing of someone influential. Muhammad therefore turned against the Jews and became their tormentor. The offsprings of Judaism are Christianity and Islam. Now history was repeating itself. The proponents of Christianity said the Jews we accept your Bible, morals, and monotheism, only receive from us Jesus Christ, the great prophet, the Messiah, whom all the prophets spoke in the scriptures, because the Jews refused, they were despised and hated, which his name is Yahawadah. And that's who all the prophets talked about in the Bible. And you did have a lot of Jews that didn't accept that. Muhammad tried to construct his religion as closely as he could after the Jewish religion. This is the reason why in the Quran it says what? The children of Israel are what? Are preferred, right? It says the Quran frequently addresses the children of Israel, acknowledging their history, their roles, and recipients of divine guidance and blessings they receive, including the gift of prophethood and scriptures. You see, all of this comes from that. So yeah, I just wanted to bring this out, man, because really all these religions are nothing more than stumbling blocks to the unwise, right? And the Lord Yahweh Shai don't want all Israel right now. So this is the reason why you see so many Israelites lost and confused and dazed in these different religions, and even amongst Israel. Not every man that knows he's an Israelite is walking in the truth, 100% truth. That's only given to the elect. Lord, when we some of those men and women who believe, right? And then you got Jake that's in the fucking Africanism, Pan-Africanism, and black, what's it called? That shit was black Kemetic society bullshit. All of that shit, man. Because the Lord don't want them, and it's for low-level Negroes. That's why you see when you look at Islam, what do you see? Low-level Negroes, right? When you look at Islam, you see what low-level Negroes. When you look at certain sects, when you look at the ISUPK, those guys are low-level, man. Them jailbird crumb snatching niggas. When you go to IUIC, you see simple-minded bird brain people following Nate. Nate is their God, right? In Jesus Christ, right? You see people that follow that Kemetic shit, they into that net, gab, gub, and all that other bullshit, right? They talk this fantastical shit about your inner being and your power, and you a child of the light and all this other shit. But these niggas is in darkness, man. Because these people are low level, man. Low level Negroes, man. Right? They're not high level, and you got to be on a high level in this truth, man. Like the brother here said, Farrakhan's rhetoric illustrates clearly his petty, constant, low-levelness, no impertinence intended. Yeah, because the nigga ain't smart. It says when he says, "My words from another imitating the words of the true prophet," and that's what they do. They're a bad imitation. And the last precept I got, asked the brothers posted, he posted it. Arise, Micah 2:10. Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you, even with a sword destruction. And that's America, bro. And everything in its place. The Lord didn't send us here as a permanent resting, but He didn't send us here to be multi-millionaires and build up a nation of Israelites within this place, and we can share it with the white man and buy land. This ain't what this is for, man. We here for judgment. We here for salvation, Lord, when we part of the elect, right? We all here for judgment because we sin against the Lord. We sin against YAHAWADAH, and this is our last captivity, right? And people like these guys, they're not gonna make it, man. They're not gonna make it. I don't see neither one of these niggas right here repenting, man. Right? These three guys right here, Sarnetta, Captain Crunch, and Lord Shabba Shabazz Free last on the bottom. These niggas is low-level Negroes, man. That's all they are, man. Well-dressed, low-level Negroes, man. That's all. It's what Diamond says. Shalom, on to the next.